My name is Maria Kressler, and I am the Executive Director at Ignatius House. Getting the chance to go back and reread Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si was a sobering reminder of our responsibility for those who say they love God and God's creation. God created the world and all that is in it, and then made us, humans, responsible to care for it, not to abuse it. We are called to care for the gift that was created for every generation. I am a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 7, with another on the way. As I enjoy my grandchildren growing up and seeing the world through their eyes, I am drawn into God's magnificent creativity. From the roly-poly under the rock to the acorns and nuts gathered in the woods by Owen, making piles for squirrels, I am awed at how at peace they are in their surroundings. They entertain themselves for hours playing in God's playground, whether on beaches in the sand or in beautiful Georgia, in the mountains or in their own very backyards. Even their understanding that the little critters and ants and bugs and the like, when outside in their habitat, are not to be disturbed. When they are in ours, as in my house, then they may be more fair game. But that careful understanding has been a next generation understanding of the natural world and the gift of life. Their observations of the world have made me more in tune to the environment we're in, and I must say I am becoming more and more concerned for the world that we will be leaving behind. Hiking in the mountains has always been a great love of my husband's. I have always credited him for leading me to meet God and nature. He has always needed to go out and be in creation in order to find that inner peace he needs. Today we go hiking often, and when we can, we hike with our grandchildren. John makes sure that each of them revere every part of their surroundings. And when we come upon a great big old tree, he stops, gathers them around, and reminds them to touch the tree and to say a prayer of thanksgiving and revere the tree's time on this earth. I love watching him do this with them. And now their parents tell us that when they go for hikes or even walks, they have to wait on their kids who need to hug trees and thank them for being here and thank God for the gift of this planet. It seems that all of humanity has been in awe of the earth and our humble place within it. Even the great Chief Seattle was quoted as saying that all things share the same breath, the beast, the tree, the human. The air shares its spirit with all the life it supports. This beautiful planet and all that is in it has spoken to generations of believers of God's great love for us. In Pope Francis's Laudato Si, he reminds us that we need intergenerational solidarity. We need not only pass on the reverence for creation, but we need to take seriously our responsibility to care for it. He calls this section Justice Between the Generations. And he tells us that we can no longer speak of sustainable development apart from intergenerational solidarity. Once we start to think about the kind of world we are leaving to future generations, we look at things differently. We realize the world is a gift which we have freely received and must share with others. Since the world has been given to us, we can no longer view reality in a purely utilitarian way, in which efficiency and productivity are entirely geared to individual benefit. Intergenerational solidarity is not optional, but rather a basic question of justice, since the world we have received also belongs to those who will follow us, our children, our grandchildren. I wonder sometimes if we forget our connection with all of creation. We are the climax of the God's creation story. After all God created and said was good, we are placed into the world and declared very good. And then most poignantly, we are given a great responsibility to take care of it. In Psalm 8, we find the songwriter astonished with all creation. Filled with humility, the psalmist ponders how our great God could even consider us mere humans to be worth of caring for it all. So great is all of creation. I look up at your heavens made by your fingers, and the moon and stars you set in place. Ah, what is man that you should spare a thought for him, the son of man that you should care for him, that you could give humanity such responsibility. In Nan Merrill's Praying the Psalms, she has the psalmist exclaim, "You have made us co-creators of the earth, guardians of the planet, to care for all your creatures, to tend the land, the sea, and the air we breathe. All that you have made, you have placed in our hands. O love, my beloved, how powerful is your name in all the earth. We are guardians of the planet. We were created by the God of love to love all creation, to love our brothers and sisters, and that includes those who come after us, the next generation. It was but a year ago when Greta Thunberg, the voice of the next generation crying out in the wilderness like a prophet, was calling us to task. She pointed to the unassailable science that oceans will rise, cities will flood, and people will suffer. Her cry was heard around the world and echoed Pope Francis's call to intergenerational solidarity. So let us pause today and take the time to be astonished by God's creation, humbled by God's call for us to care for it, and brave enough to make the changes we need to so we can pass on a healthy world to the next generation.